Hi Divine Rebels, it's Bohemia with Bohemian Stars and Ocean Heart Readings, and today we are doing another ancestor reading check-in to see messages from the ancestors. This was the most pulled for pick a card option from like 5 options we had of which reading we wanted to do next. And it's perfect timing because it's getting ready to be the Scorpio Full Moon, and so a lot of ancestral energy, communication with the other side, the thinning of the veil is very open and present at this time. So I switched up our altar here and added some things for the ancestors, like we have the cardinal, little cemetery gates and bench and stuff. There's some different aspects from different ancestors and lineage of my own, the skulls. We have a for the unborn there. We have the couple back there. Those are some of my sugar skull candles, little tombstone. We have some black roses. We have some smudge going. It's Palo Santo. Of course, we have this little hand of glory here. So just different things to tie in that energy and make the ancestors feel at home here on our reading altar. We have our options down here that we will be getting into. They wanted 5 options instead of just 3 or 4 for the pick a card, so this could be a long reading. I hope I have room on my phone. I might have to do it in 2 different parts and merge it. Yes, so these are going to be our options here. Now, if you haven't been to this channel before, I'm not about flattery. I'll do compliments. I'm very genuine, right, Pisces? But we're going to talk about real things, and all the ancestors aren't just blowing air up everybody's asses and skating over, spiritually bypassing all the stuff that happened in the past. What I absolutely don't do is, you know, kind of this continuance of like giving cultures away in order to make people feel like they are, you know, exotic and spiritual and can, you know, steal from other cultures, all that kind of stuff. It's not real. It's not like what's really going on in the spiritual world. Our ancestors, when I really tap in and channel to the global ancestors, they want to talk about the stuff that's going on that's not okay. And if we don't allow them to do that, we're not allowing them to heal and right their wrongs of mistakes that they made and to hand down ancestral wisdom. Like, it doesn't make sense. So a lot of you on my channel, you are exactly in that zone, and that's why I cultivate it slowly, and I've built my channel up slowly, and I have no problem with, you know, giving someone the clap if they need to go and they come up, you know, in an incorrect way on the channel. But we are definitely about that. We're about, you know, decolonizing, rebuilding the world, really looking at the truth of what was good, what was not so good that our ancestors did. And for me, that's the biggest way I know to honor them, is to not repeat their mistakes, to listen to the stories and the wisdoms that maybe they didn't even see themselves while they were here on this planet. Excuse me, I'm putting some rose oil on, and I'm loading us up another candle with some rose for protection and some protective energies and stuff here for us, because the other one finished out from our live read. So that's honoring, that's respectful. You know, it makes no sense to just go around like grabbing, pretending we're different cultures and religions and this and that, or that we're entitled to do whatever because we're spiritual. Like, that doesn't really help. It doesn't empower us, and it doesn't allow our ancestor relationship to grow and to be recognized, and it doesn't help us give a good healed legacy to our children. So that's part of where I'm coming from with these readings and just how I am as a reader. So those are the type of messages that will channel through, because I will allow them to come through. I won't silence when the ancestors want to talk about those kind of things. Other things is how I do the reading. So what I do is I kind of let them know, you know, whenever I'm channeling guides or ancestors or things like that, I let them know the intention and say, hey, you know, if you're gonna lead your peoples to come to this reading, you know, go ahead and do so, but I need you guys to all kind of queue up with the ancestors that have similar messages, so that there can be, you know, there might be similar themes throughout. I was seeing a few similar themes that were coming through each of the options, but then there are also very specific messages. So that way, since we're doing such a big general reading, that they can kind of, you know, be able to specify to you what the message is by, you know, kind of getting together with those who have a similar word that they want to pass on. Okay. So there's a little insight for that. I'm looking for my matches. I just ran out of my matches that are right by me. Oh, look, I was prepared. Hashtag Pisces can be prepared. I did stock 2 more right here. I know I have a lot in the room, but I didn't know if I had any right by me. Holla, thank you. All right, so we have our ancestor candle going for everyone watching. And yes, put this incense in and we're gonna get started. Just really go ahead and see what you connect with. Now you could pick for your individual ancestor you have in mind. It could be collective ancestors, a particular side of the lineage, and you might just pick one and have someone come through that just wanted to talk, and then you recognize their message as it is. So we have options here. Let me get my little pointer. Option 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so go ahead and pick what resonates with you and we'll get into the reading. Move this to the side here. So happy full moon in Scorpio. Take care of yourselves, y'all. It can be intense and emotional and exhausting. It's a bit like well, you know, it's been Halloween season on the other side of the world, or Samhain, than it has been up here in this hemisphere. So you can feel some of those themes and vibes, right? All the mediums and psychics could have a lot coming through. So for those of you who chose number 1 here, I love these earrings here. We have the Ace of Cups reverse. We have Spider, community and web weaving. We have the Woodpecker from this deck. And it is going to be a tight squeeze. We have Tuananaku, 2 of Swords reversed. All the decks will be listed down below. Let me see if I can give you a wider shot, but still reach it. Okay, we have the 5 of Wands, Autumn, River, which is movement, and Autumn says release the old and rest. We have Spirit of Truth, Mani, M-A-N-I. For those who don't have the visual here, this is the Viking god of the moon. And we have the 3 of Swords. So when I was doing this, your guys' reading, I was definitely getting a very frustrated energy. There was a lot of tough words and harsh words that were coming through from the ancestors. So I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna let them speak and give it to you how they delivered it. You know, basically, there's a lot that you're not seeing. There's a lot that is not being addressed that they were very frustrated with. They had a lot of repetitive signs of like the closed eye. So if we see on this card here, it's reversed and there's the eye there. The third eye being closed was the message and a lot of it. And the Tuanaku card here, it talks about when walking down the ancestor like boulevard basically, but wearing a mask and not having authenticity and being, you know, true to self. In this card here, we have Ulegwa, who was trying to get the attention of the people in the town, and they weren't honoring him as they should have been honoring. And so he painted one side of himself red and one side black and walked down the town. And so one group of people saw him one way, one group saw the other way, and they started fighting and being disrespectful for each other. And even when he reversed and walked through the other way so that they could see from the other side's point of view, they refused to admit it and just be in their pride and keep fighting, right? And so for some of you have been bickering, you've been fighting, you've been hiding from the truth. The Spirit of Truth card in this is yet like a lot of these cards in here, we're talking about not seeing the truth, not being authentic, not you know, growing when you see the error, like see the error of your ways and changing and transforming, and you know, just being real and trying to be a truthful person, not doing that, not allowing yourself to progress. And so oh goodness, right? It's like release the old and rest, like needing to get past that. Like basically the ancestors were coming through real tough on this one, and we're like, you need to get past your old shit. Like you, like we're tired of it. We're tired of you not listening. We're tired of you not being respectful enough to the spirit world. And, you know, you're disrespecting yourself at this point by not letting go of stuff that you need to, not being a truth seeker in a real way that you will really, you know, you'll see a certain aspect of the truth, but not the whole truth on here, right? There was also the big message too about community building. So the spider card right here is community and web weaving, and it was talking a lot about that, how we can either choose to be good community with each other, or we can be this pretend community where we're basically entrapping each other and we're not really helping everyone and we're not really healing, and that being the big warning. Yes, you might experience this externally too, but this was a very straight message because it was repeated in all the cards. Like, this is your message from the ancestors. So I think it's important. I noticed on some of the other ancestor readings, sometimes people would want to not take the medicine of that message and try to, again, bypass it, right? Put that medicine on someone else. So, you know, we got to take that bitter medicine sometimes, and that is very strong. The first two of this reading of this pick a card, the first two were really getting it hammered home, like, look, we're going to give you some tough love, okay? Now some of this, it could be that you've become very jaded because of a heartbreak, or because, you know, you just feel like you've been through a lot, you've been very heartbroken very early, you were tender-hearted, and now you're just getting to the point where you don't care, you don't want to hear it, you don't want to deal with it. It could be a number of things. So it's not that your ancestors are saying that you've never had it hard or that you don't deserve, you know, to have it good in life, but they're just like, look, basically when we get tough love, it's because we have bullshit that's standing in the way from us being happy, from us having a good life, from us having true wisdom, right? And so they're just like, you know, you're not seeing things clearly, you're out here pretending that you're seeing things clearly, you don't even know what's around the river bend. You need to be seeking truth, you need to listen when people are telling you, you know, what it is. And in this card I got a strong vibe too about warring community. So for those of us who are you know, trying to change the world better, and you're a marginalized community, like, I got a very strong message, like, how are you going to be a marginalized community and then you treat another marginalized community shitty, right? Like, how does that work? And there's so many examples. This is personal communication. This is not for anybody to weaponize against these communities, but let's talk about it. So, like, for instance, within the gay community, right, we're all about, you know, the whole spectrum of the LGBTQIA plus fam. But, you know, for instance, like, Black trans women started the gay pride, and yet they're the most ostracized from gay pride, right? Like, how are you going to be a marginalized community and, like, weaponize this, like, oppression against people within that community? Another big one, a good example is, I was seeing the you know, indigenous and Black groups, which, first of all, Black people, African people, people born from Africa are indigenous too. It's colorism. The only reason they're not included in that, because they're just as tribal as etc., as original people as the other areas of the land, right? But there's big issues. So coming from an Afro-Indigenous family, there can be a lot of internalized racism, which I guess is prejudice when it comes from minority groups towards each other, against, like, Black groups, right? So a lot of people want to co-opt Black Lives Matter and put, like, Asian Lives Matter or this or that, but they don't have real love for Black people, you know what I mean? And then there's issues, or there's issues between, like, Black and brown, or, you know, whatever. So we say it like that. But so this is basically, these are just examples that I'm like, this is a very rapid fire. Ancestors are upset, they're frustrated. Like, you guys need to get this shit together on every level, right? How are you going to be feminist, but you treat, you know, you're only truly about white feminism and you're not really enlightening everybody? How are you guys going to be in spiritual community right now, but it's only as much as your wokeness gives you power over others, and not about truly doing shadow work, not about truly making sure that everyone in the community is included and honored and their cultures and lives respected, right? So there's so many ways that this could play out, but basically it's like, you know, at this point, these ancestors are like, okay, you should have clarity, you should be doing a lot better, but there are some areas that you need some work, where you're thinking that, you know, that you're good and perfect and that you're seeing everything right and la-di-di, la-di-da. and you're needing some more work. And that hurts when we find out that we haven't been loving correctly, when we find out that we've been, you know, not contributing to having true compassion and love. That sucks when we have those revelations. I talked about that in one of the other readings, but this is another check-in that says, okay, your spirit wants to have true community. That's good. That's real good. But unless you hear these truths, unless you listen, now for some of you, this is within your own family, right? And so, believe me, I know family stuff is hard, right? It's hard. But for those of you who, if you've had very toxic people you've had to cut off because it's so bad, that's not what I'm talking about here. But for those of you where you're trying to work it out and you guys just end up caught in that cycle of hating each other and just not listening, not caring about the other's lifestyle just because you're different, back and forth, this is like, what's going on? You can't say you're family and then sit there and talk shit at each other at someone's funeral. Like, you can't, you know, what's going on? You say you're family, but you can't even be happy that your sister's getting married or something, you know? So these are the kind of things that are really, the ancestors are very tired of it. They're tired of it. They're like, you need to show up and be true, like truly a heart-centered, community, family-oriented person, or you need to drop the whole fake charade. Period. Okay. There's also being too much in your feelings, right? So you might be having so much emotions and feelings and sensitivity that there's no compassion for anyone else. And this card does specifically, especially because it came up almost a retrograde reversed, and I wasn't even shuffling them reversed like that. But in that deck, it talks about like, you need to be more logical and clear-headed, right? Needing to listen and have communication because you are being too emotional and reactionary in situations, and you're not hearing the truth of it. You're not listening to the other person, the other parties, you know, so a lot of very, very similar messages here, right? Okay, and you're missing out on opportunities. Woodpecker medicine is about, you know, having opportunities. Even when everything seems dead and gone, they can find food and resources in these dead trees, right? So some of you might feel like that, like, man, how my ancestors gonna be mad at me, and like I feel like they haven't even been showing up for me, right? But that's that tough love of finding the medicine in that dead wood, right? Finding those resources, finding the parts of ourselves that we don't have to heal, because we could get away with not letting anyone know we have that part of ourselves and just pretend that we don't have it. You know what I mean? Like, we know that we have this mean girl streak underneath, but we've finessed it so no one else knows we feel that way. But the ancestors are saying, we didn't raise you like that, or that's not the legacy that we want you to have, even if we messed up that way. Okay. So that is like, just like the big message here, but they're saying release it. They're giving you this tough love. It's almost like when you, I mean, of course we don't do this anymore, but you know, back in the day, they would, like, you know, spank your butt and then give you a hug, and you're just like, what? What is this? This is like the punishment, the reprimand, and then the hug. Like, okay, now get it right. Go around the river bend. This is all old. Don't have to have this conversation again. All right, let's move forward. Let's have true clarity. Let's get it right. That heart and mind balance needs to be, you know, in the right place. And this is just a big good example of, if we stay in like this, like self-torment, broken heart, all that, we actually stop love from being able to exist for others. Like, we don't see the world properly. We're not putting out the proper kind of love and energy because we're staying in that brokenness, right? No, this isn't talking about when we're addressing things that aren't, you know, positive, so-called. No, that's good. That's what the ancestors are doing now. They're like, no, address things that are messed up, right? But address things for healing, right? But that's different than just staying in kind of like this mopey cycle, feeling sorry for the self, you know, not ever reaching your full healing and staying in those cycles. Because the moon right here, this is the moon card, is all about staying in negative cycles, right? And then we never kind of level up, and then before we know it, we don't even realize that we're seeing the world in such a cryptic, you know, corroded kind of way, and that we're not trusting others' experiences and their voices and things like that because we feel like we don't have any. You know, we're not celebrating other people's love because we feel like we don't get love, right? All right, so this is all to get you in a better place. And this is why, if you've been having some issues with having authenticity and trustworthiness and love in your relationships and interactions, it can be stemming from kind of these the undercurrent web, right, of things in your life. All right, so third eye is really what needs to be focused. You know, it's kind of like when you like when you you know, when you bop someone in the head right there, boom, bop. Like, I feel like that's what the ancestors just like, bop, like, come on, right? Spiritual face palm, like, come on, let's get this right. That is the key, is truly having discernment and sight through your third eye, and not looking through your pain, your anger, your bullshit, whatever, you know, truly having third eye, that you can see others, right? Truly see others, like that namaste. The divine in me sees and honors the divine in you, right? And to let yourself be seen without putting up all these smokes and mirrors, right? Without having to use sensitivity and emotional manipulation and all those kind of games, but to really purify it. And again, some of you really, that's like your whole thing, is like, well, I'm so sensitive, well, I'm so loving, well, I'm the sensitive, I'm the empath one, I'm the, you know, super saiyan psychic emotional one. But it's like, it's not being used properly. It's being used as like weaponized, you know. And so it's not letting you be full. It's not letting you be happy and fulfilled, or letting that love, you know what it's like? It's like when you tell someone that you just had a racism occurred, and then they say, well, I don't see color, right? And you're just like, what the hell? Or you tell, you know, a male friend that someone just was like inappropriate to you as a female, and then they mansplain about why they don't believe you, right? It's like when people pretend that they're being nice, and they pretend they're helping you, and they pretend that they're using information, but it has to do with their feelings, their discomfort, their whatever, them, their identity. And so that's what you're being shocked out of right now. And again, usually when we're in that place, we don't see it, right? Trying to argue with people like that is like hitting your head against the wall, because they don't see it, because it's all about them feeling good, and I feel like I'm being a good person. Your ancestors are going to start taking you to those places and show you where there's some flaws in that, right? It doesn't mean you're a horrible person. It just means that you have learning to do in order to grow in love. And you probably have wanted that in some ways. You know, you probably want to be your best loving self, to be the best communicator that you can be, to be, you know, the best you know, spiritual and emotional person that you can be. And that's why you're getting these messages right now. Okay, so that was some tough love, but I hope that you can receive it and feel encouraged. I've had times like that where I've had to have myself broken open and realize, like I talked about it in another video, like, wow, like I was loving incorrectly. Like I completely had good intentions, but there was just certain programmed ways of loving that were clingy, or they made the other person feel diminished, or they weren't, you know, they weren't healthy. It wasn't healthy. And I was thinking I was being such a good, perfect person, right? And I was doing it right, and I wasn't. There were some flaws, and that really hurt my heart to feel like, man, I had like, I didn't want to like not love right or something, you know. But if I hadn't have had that humility and just let it kind of break my heart and grow through that, then I would have continued those cycles, right? So it's just all about leveling up and continuing to grow. All right, so for those of you, yes, so hopefully that's, you know, y'all feel all right. Level up, grow, you know, grow and receive those messages. And don't worry, the ancestors only come through like that because they love you. And so just go ahead, comment you know how you're feeling, and don't worry, it's gonna be okay. All right, number ones, so we'll talk to you soon. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and we will be back at it again. I think I'll go live next, but there'll be more videos to come. All right, talk to you soon. Now for number 2, I already got your thing here. Look, it looks like he's guarding the little area here. Now 1 and 2 both got one of the same cards here. You guys got the 3 of Swords. We have Manaz. We have Solitude, which is the island. We have Wolf. Let me move that over there a little bit. We have Mecca. All the decks will be linked down below. Spirit of destruction. Hey. The King of Pentacles. Fire Guardian. Okay. The Knight of Wands. And the ancestors cards reversed. So your ancestors are definitely wanting to connect. Now reverse, that's two things. One, them trying to send you downloads and connect and communicate with you. And also it can be that you guys have been out of sorts. Some of you, some of them might be like, man, we know that we were bad ancestors. It's right here by the Three of Swords. We know that you've been feeling alone. We have the isolation card here. Some of you, you're like, nah, like they were not good people when they were down here. Like this is, messed up. They didn't leave me with good tools. Like I haven't been, I haven't been feeling it. I haven't been happy with the legacy that I've been left, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, health-wise, from my ancestors. And so they're just really acknowledging it. Now they are saying that they have a loyalty here, and definitely that they've been doing their part to grow and to learn on the spirit side of things, which is huge. That's exactly, that's all we can ask of our ancestors is, well, we ask a lot of them, but that they continue to grow in spirit so that they can guide us in the most healed way. I do feel like some of you in number 2 that you have maybe some concerns about your health. Maybe you're afraid that you have inherited certain physical makeups that you're concerned about. Maybe some of you have, maybe there has been some health, issues or illnesses that have passed down from the ancestors. But here we have the energy of breaking the cycles. A lot of you, so basically, even if you have gone through that already, it's like, the ancestors letting you know that you guys have the ability to break the cycle of the spiritual and physical DNA that has been held down, right? That you can overcome things that they couldn't. So maybe they, really drank themselves to death, or they, weren't able to beat certain things, or they never even tried to heal certain illnesses or maintain, their body through certain illnesses or things. And they just didn't have a very good relationship with their body and taking care of it. But you're not them. You have the ability to make it through things, to address your health, to be in a much better place with the King of Pentacles here, and they can guide you in that, right? So there's the mindset there's the energy and the message to destroy the mindsets that you have to go down the same physical path that they did, because sometimes our family will be like that, right? They can be the hardest on us if we're trying to change and be healthy, or anything. I've even had where people really thought that they needed to like do drugs or drink to be close to the family member who passed away, just out of their grief and out of all their pain. They thought that was the way to connect, and I didn't even know that the person was going through that. And I had their ancestor come through and tell me, like, no, like they're caught up in the spirit of this drugs and alcohol. That's not me. Tell them. And then so I told the person who was by them, and they were like, oh yes, they're right here. And that's so crazy, because they literally were just telling me that they think that that's the way to be close to this family member. And we were able to have this amazing conversation, and they opened their spirit up to go get help to overcome those kind of things, because they were just very lost and very hurt and very in their grief. And so some of you might need to hear that message, right? Just because your family member had been a certain way when they were alive, or they weren't able to overcome certain things with their health, doesn't mean that that's meant for you, or that they want that for you. And this message is actually saying that they don't want that for you. They don't want you to have to work yourself to death. They don't want you to have to, follow in those footsteps. And although logically, again, we can understand that, quite often you will see those patterns kind of occur, even if it's in a good way, right? I've seen people that have literally worked themselves into an early heart attack, and then their children just work all the time, like they won't slow down. And you can see spiritually that energy building up that same way with them, right? And it's just like they're trying to be close to the lifestyle that their parent had, or to honor their legacy, but they're carrying unknowingly some of the same mistakes that the parent did. So this is just a strong message for that it is okay for you to break out of those kind of generational cycles, out of DNA or spiritual DNA habits that are there. Okay, because look at how beautiful this isn't. This such a beautiful card? I love that. Look at that moss and that growing. Yes, so there are many other things too that you are good for. Some of you, it could even be like very stereotypical. Maybe you think like, oh, this is what we do in our culture. You know, like every culture has their stereotypes of, you know, what our bodies and looks do and what our vices are and what we're good at based on like these cultural things. And so this is like your permission, your ancestors reminding you like you have a whole world of things that you're good at, a whole world of things that you can do. So, you know, destroy any stereotype that's keeping you in the box and explore what your life means for you. We have a lot. Look at this. Ignite your passions with the fire guardian here, spirit of destruction, the Knight of Wands, right? And you're still gonna be their child even if you are doing things that are completely out of the box that you wouldn't normally think. The King of Pentacles, and we have the buffalo there, ancestor medicine, but we have the loyalty of the wolf here, you know, so very, very, very loyal, protective energy for you. Okay, we have so now some of you we gotta talk about relationships, okay, for a minute, one time, okay. Some of you are definitely into exploring relationships. You might have very some of you have come out of heartbreaks or divorce. That could be something that you're worried about, you know, breaking tradition. Maybe that wasn't something that happened in your family, or it could be the other way around. Maybe you didn't see stable relationships in your family. But either way, there's kind of the message of throwing out tradition and experiencing your life through your own experiences. Your ancestors are a little bit okay with you being reckless, with you going out there and, you know, charging the world and seeing where it leads you. Not that nothing's sacred. Yes, there are sacred, you know, we have Mecca here, and in this deck it is a power card. It stands on its own. It has its complete own suit, and it's about, you know, going, what is your sacred place, your sacred space? What are your sacred goals that you have for yourself? And kind of basically just destroying and tearing away everything that isn't that's not leading you to feeling at one with yourself, right? Being open to experiences, but not feeling like you have to get stuck in them and that you have to end up like, oh, I chose this, so now the rest of my life has to be this way. I do want to take a look. I failed to do this real quick for this one. Yeah, so I thought so. Develop yourself in all the ways that you can, fulfill your potential. Do not shy away from collective consciousness. Human nature means mistakes are made, but we can learn from them. Working with and for the community is becoming important for you. Be rational about an issue rather than emotional. So there is, you know, I did mention number one, the ancestors in this one were coming through, you know, tough love, kind of kick your ass in the way that it's like, you know, you need to go and find your own destiny, but you also need to care about other people. And so that's going to be a big part of you having to find balance with that. Is kind of that seems like extremes. But the wolf is a perfect guide, because the wolf is the lone wolf, but it's also the leader of the pack. And pack animals, you know, are very dependent on each other, very caring and nurturing and so loyal to each other. But then, you know, wolf, it's almost full moon right now, right? Wolf goes off and does his own thing as well. So this card talks about how in Viking society, you were expected to fulfill your own destinies and fate, but you were also expected to have complete loyalty to your community and to make sure that in your fulfilling of your own destiny and fate that you preserved and added to, you know, and like edified the community around you. So some of you, that's what's hard. Like on one side you have the King of Pentacles energy. You want to have tradition, you want to have loyalty, you want to do things a bit more by the book, or just like leave evidence of being like this really good solid force in the world. But on the other side, you just want to crash and burn everything. You want people to leave you alone. You don't want to lay down roots anywhere. Okay, so that is like the big the big part to find balance with for you guys. So this is just kind of your check-in. They're gonna be tough on you if you're not respecting, if you're not paying attention to the greater world, if you're just, you know, in your own bubble and, you know, doing whatever you want and not caring about others. Like, your ancestors are gonna get on your ass, like, and they were coming through pretty intensely. So like they're gonna whoop up on you if you don't care about other people and you don't truly honor others. But at the same time, they're also gonna get on your ass if you don't care about yourself and your own passions, and you don't explore who you are and like get out of the box, you know, and just go out there and live. They want you to live, right? So a good example is like people who, you know, they do their own careers in their own life and they end up being successful, and then they can give back a lot, and it's in their own unique way, right? And that's kind of like the good mix. Like, go out there, care about others, and have we have the sacred time of the solitude here, and then the sacred time of like the bigger connection. Look at that, look at the masses. That's a crowd. See all those little dots? Those are people, right? Mecca is the most pilgrimaged to holy place, right? Like in the world, I think. So yeah, so it's kind of like finding the balance between both, but you are meant to do both. You are meant to have roots, you are meant to have security, you are meant to allow yourself to actually, you know, have wisdom and have security. But you are also meant to get out there in the world and to continue making mistakes. And it's interesting because this card says mistakes have been made, right? It's about learning to make the right mistakes, right? It's to make the right choices, to risk the right things. And when you do make one of the kind of wrong mistakes, to have humility and apologize. Don't just kind of hurt others by weaponizing, running away, or isolating yourself or them, right? So there's a big huge Sagittarian energy. I think a lot of you too might be on the cusp of like Leo, Virgo, Aries, Taurus, or Capricorn, Sag. Okay, could be around those signs, and you could be having guidance come through and messages from an ancestor that had those energies, who's kind of sharing their advice of what they experienced. So I hope that connected with you somehow and gave you some good information and insight, and we'll continue to check in with the ancestors as we go along, but these are the messages that they had now. All right, so please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll talk to you soon. Yay! Number 3, for those of you who chose the Kambaba Jasper as like a bunny, like a psychic bunny, or a solar celestial kind of bunny. At least it looks like a bunny to me. All right. For those of you who chose number 3, your ancestor messages. Yes, the Empress. Hey. Lush, living lux, winter reversed. We have rain, purification. We have justice reversed, but in this deck it's actually called punishment, so it being reversed is really good. We have 20. This is a creator card. All the decks will be listed down below. Teotihuacan. Sorry, I totally just butchered that. Y'all know what I mean though. Apologies. We have the 6 of Pentacles, the Hunter of Paths, the Air Guardian, shift your perspective, and Thor. Yes. Okay. So I am really excited about this one. This is the one I chose as well, and I was so glad when I flipped it over and saw that it was like nice cards, because the first 2 were getting like even more than I said in the video. Like the energy that was coming through for the first 2 groups was like their ancestors was disciplining them, okay? So this one is really blessed up. We have this energy of the ancestors really letting you know how loved you are and how much that they are loving up on you. There is a change in your path that's occurring right now. This card talks about how once you have gone through the cycles of like destruction and like all these negative things, like then comes the cycle of, you know, abundance and of peace and of, you know, all the good things. So we have purification, we have winter ending, we have punishment in this deck, reverse. So for those of you who have been, you know, wondering if you're still like, man, am I still being punished? Is it still a time of negative karma? You know, am I deserving of all these bad things that have happened? Well, it varies because it's general. Some of you might have deserved some of the kind of the whoop ups you got. So you might have picked more than one option, and so you're like, okay, I just got my butt beat on number 1, and then I picked number 3, right? So this would be what would come after you listen to them if you picked one of the ones where you're getting reprimanded as well. But for a lot of us that picked this one, this is about being ready to go down the new path. You know, sometimes we don't want to make a new start because we can feel that we're not done kind of going through the bullshit yet, and we know, like, we don't want to taint that new start, right? It's kind of like it's May but we still haven't started 2019 yet. Like, okay, we'll start next month. But this is saying it is okay to start your new year. It's okay to turn the page and see that a new chapter or a new book is beginning. It's okay to see yourself as finally getting to that next level, that next tier of having the good life, right? Thor is all about protection, love for humanity, you know, being really compassionate. I think a lot of you are to the time where you can care for others, you look out for people, you know, you nurture others, you really are, you know, you have, some of you can have some tempers and stuff, let's be honest. You can have some temper sometimes, you could pop off. You've had your times where you haven't been your best self, let's be real, you have. The ancestors were there, we had the buffalo there. But overall, like, you've really overcome the parts of yourself and the parts of your life that weren't the best, and you're really doing your best that you can to make yourself better, to make your life better, to try to caretake the world and people around you that you can. And so this is just like a lot of love and a lot of blessings really shined on you. We have the 6 of Pentacles letting you know that if you continue, it does say, if you continue to do the work that you're doing, you continue, you know, striving to be a good person, you continue to try to beautify and better and heal the world around you, that you will continue to be blessed, and that you'll continue to have the support from your ancestors and them looking out for you. And on this deck, they are giving, offering and honoring to all the different Orisha, because it's the Orisha tarot. So, you know, you continue to work on those different aspects of yourself, and, you know, make sure to be handling all those different areas of life well and doing your best, and you're going to continue to be blessed. Now, there is still a little bit that needs to change. We have to change your perspective. So you just need to know, and I think that's the point of this reading, your ancestors coming through, is saying, okay, so stop waiting for that other shoe to drop. Stop seeing yourself as someone who's going to be punished, right? We have punishment reversed. Stop seeing yourself as someone who, you know, at the last minute you're going to lose, or that we're not going to come through and help you. You got to let that go now, right? You see yourself as someone who helps others and who also gets the help that you need. And it's everyone's deserving. The people in this world who need help, they're deserving, they're loved, they deserve blessings, they are a blessing. You, when you need help, you are deserving, you are loved, you are a blessing. And stay in that place. Stay, you know, that's true goodness, right? That balancing. And so it's the Hunter of Past. So you definitely have some ancestor that come through and they look for you. You're job hunting, they're hunting for you. You're looking for an apartment, they're hunting for you. You trying to get booed up, they're hunting for you, okay? Like, they are on it. They want to bring you the best of things, right? Kind of the, we would say, the choice meats, right? Or the choice vegan meats if you're vegan. You know, they're really out there doing the most for you to bring you blessings, to bring you to a place of abundance and happiness and wealth. They have your back, and, you know, they find the balance. They'll let you go through things when you need to learn your lesson, but they're also there to celebrate you and to pull you up by the bootstraps and to give you that, you know, that cleansing and that fresh start, you know. So this is like a beautiful message. There could be some travel for some of you. It could be time to travel. And with the Empress here, though, it's going to be good. Maybe you guys have had like forced moving, or you've been forced to have to move or relocate. You know, it could be like, you know, maybe your home country, things weren't safe, it wasn't okay. Maybe you had to move because of the lack of resources or the damage done to your land or your city or area. I am seeing some very intense situations there, and this is that message that no, it wasn't punishment, no, you weren't deserving of those hard times and those awful tough situations, but you did do good learning from them. And that's the thing, no time is wasted if we can learn whatever we can learn, even if we shouldn't have to through the situation. Because yes, unfair shit happens, absolutely. Like sometimes it's not like, oh, this was meant to be. No, it wasn't, you know. But the wisdom that we learned, that's something that we can choose, that we can be empowered with. And I think that you've done a very good job from what your ancestors are saying here, you know, and they're very proud of you for that, for always, you know, looking at both sides of the coin, learning what you need to from the bad, and taking as much blessings and you know, care as you can from it, and trying to turn around back to the world and put more good in it than you even received yourself. And I'm getting a little choked up there. So that's your power right there, is that perception. And sometimes you might get, you know, that temper. Sometimes you get mad when they're trying to lead you before you're ready to see the other side of the coin, to see the good perception from it. When they're trying to, you know, push you into wisdom a little too soon, and you're like, no, I'm still hurting, you know. But they have love. They have love for you, and you guys can always make it right, even if you feel like you've gone off on your ancestors. Not that they're saying be disrespectful, okay? But it's saying that they understand. They meet you halfway. That's what this is. They meet you halfway. And I think you both work to connect with each other, and that's so beautiful. Definitely, they're giving a shout out if you've been trying to tend an altar for them, do things for them. Again, they're meeting you halfway. They're meeting you in that place. Let me see, I have one thing that I want to check on real quick, and it opened right up to this. Yes, removing your masks. Yep, allowing yourself to destroy what no longer serves you. And it says realize that you can make the changes that you need. Also, it's a good time of fertility for you, okay? So watch out if you're not looking to be too fertile, because they could be wanting you to have another child, or it can be fertile in other ways, like the bank, okay? It could be fertility in relationships. I feel like some of you have been going through so much, you haven't really got to thrive out loud. You had to survive for so long, and that's like, oh, I just feel this peace, like even my face relaxing, like my muscles, like you guys are going to get to knock those chips off your shoulder and just like relax. You're not gonna have to feel tense and on guard anymore, and that's really where they're leading you to. All right, so really trust them. They're trying to lead you right through that fresh rain. After the rain, I'm thinking of that song by Maya, After the Rain, and I actually think that song she wrote for someone who passed away. But after the rain, you know, we smile again, and the sun shines again, and all those kind of things. So yes, that is your message, your lovely message from the ancestors. I hope it resonated with you and you connected with it. Stay blessed up. Leave some comments, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because YouTube be playing. Share if you feel like, you know, someone else could benefit from this reading as well and connect with it. And I'll talk to you soon. All right, that reading just calmed me down for that one. Number 4, we have my elephant from the Sweet Mama in Peru. For those of you who chose number 4, let's see what your ancestors have to say. I had looked at these just, you know, a little bit when I was drawing them, but I don't remember all of them. So we're just channeling in. Remember some parts, but not all of it. Oh, sorry, you have the 4 cups reversed. We have the lamp, which says remembrance. We have Exterstein. This is from the Sacred Sites Oracle. It has the rune for tear on it. We have the Ace of Swords. So we did do the business and pleasure reading. One of those options had the Ace of Swords as the answer. So you might have gotten both, or you might want to watch and pick an option from that. Spirit of Challenge. We have the Knight of Swords reversed. We have the Drum. Lightning and Power. We have the Arrow, and we have Hagalaz rune. Okay, so oops, I put them way off. All right. Yes, I'm like hearing that song like stormy weather. You guys have gone through a lot lately. I do feel like this is like you know, how difficult are you making things for yourself, basically? Because we have the Ace of Swords trying to talk and the Knight of Swords reverse not listening, right? We have the drum and the lightning. We have like the thunderstorms going on. We have a lot of storm magic in these readings. We had Thor in the last one. Hagalaz is like, you know, just a lot of, it's like the hail rune, right? And the lamp of remembrance is reversed in your reading. So basically you definitely have some ancestors that feel like you're not acknowledging them. Maybe you don't want to hear them. Now maybe they did something wrong when they were here on earth, but it's like the Four of Cups reversed with the lamp reversed. So some of you still haven't chosen to connect with them. You don't want to do it. You know, you just are like, nah, you know, maybe you acknowledge half of your ancestors, but not the other half. I don't think they're happy about that. I don't. Now they have a very strong energy, like an overpowering energy. They might even, you know, if they try to show up, you're like, okay, like you're acting creepy. I don't even know what you are over there. You know, they're very forceful. They definitely don't like to be ignored whatsoever. But I think it's interesting because they're kind of saying like you have that same energy. Like maybe you also come off that way to people. Maybe you have strong like Capricorn, Scorpio, you have a lot of power in your energy. Leo, how you come off to others as well, right? And so that could be part of yourself, which is usually how it is with our ancestors, that you're not wanting to acknowledge or that you're not comfortable with, and that's the same thing that's annoying you with them. But I do agree from the energy they're putting here, they could be a bit pushy, you know, they're very powerful, they don't mind showing it sometimes. Yes, but from what they're saying here, it's like you could have a lot more, right, of the rainbows and sunshine and feel more empowered in your life if you would utilize their assistance more, if you would listen more to get through these tough times, right, and have more of a focus, have more of a basically get out of the challenges. Like you're stubborn. You have to do things a tough way. You have to do it your way, and you keep yourself out in the cold longer. And I think, you know, you do get a big rush of doing it on your own and feeling this big sense of power. Some of you might be kind of even skeptical, and you're like, I don't even know if they're really around. Like I feel like I've always been on my own. You know, I don't really know if maybe I'm just crazy or something, you know, when I feel like I hear them. Now a lot of you, I think you do hear clairaudience. You might hear them say your name, you might hear them talk to you, because that's what they're saying is like, no, I know you heard me, like I know for like fact bet I know you heard me, but you're just like, you know. And how interesting that there's the bow and arrows right there on the back, and you got the arrow. So they're just like basically to the point about that, like, okay, you big bad, you're gonna do it yourself, but you know, you cause yourself restrictions. You know, you get distracted by drama, right? You get caught up in this stubbornness and this battle of wills, and you end up kind of losing because you keep yourself in challenges, right? So like things that should just pass by easily are things that you stay in for a long time, right? And so I feel like also it's because you really are determined to see them in a certain way and not kind of let them change and show you who they are, or kind of like show their wisdom as they've grown and things like that, right? All right, yes, okay, I thought so. I double checked on this one because I thought that this was the card that said that. So we talked about clairaudience, and we talked about how I think a lot of you don't really kind of believe in this. Maybe that you're just like, I don't know, you're really skeptical. You might even feel yourself like atheist. I'm picking up for some of you in this. And this card is so interesting. It says you are called upon to embrace the possibilities of magic and the occult, to be open to powers that may seem otherworldly or the stuff of fantasy, such as telepathy, mediumship, shape-shifting, remote viewing, and lucid dreaming. All right, yes, so I wanted to double check because I thought that connected with that, and it does. And so it's like, you know, the challenge right now is your mind. That's your biggest challenge because you're powerful. You definitely could be someone who dream travels, astral travels, like you really can. And I think, and maybe it's part of your astrology chart, maybe you really wanted to kind of do it on your own. You know what it reminds me of? Have you seen Clash of the Titans, where he's like so mad at the gods that he's like, whatever, like I'm not going to use my demigod powers, like I'm going to do this as a man, I'm going to do it as a man, like as a human. Like that's basically what you guys are kind of like. Like you like the power and the flash sometimes of feeling like you're more powerful than mortal men. Like you like being a demigod, but you just get so mad at, you know, the forces that be, if they be, that you just want to be stubborn and do things your own way. And so they're like, you just need to claim all of who you are and find a way to make the peace and have the conversations. It's almost like your ancestors are like, if you're mad, let's talk about it then. Let's heal it. Let us show you how we've grown and changed, like learn from our mistakes. But just going over here ignoring it all, like you have blind spots and you don't realize what your blind spots are because you're so freaking stubborn, right? Okay, look, this is them telling it, not me. Don't get mad, because this is talking about don't be short-sighted. What's your game plan? What 5-10 years? What's your life look like from now? Like what's really good? You know, are you really, you know, on top of things the way that you think you're on top of things, or not so much, right? Let's see. I feel like I also want to check with this one a little bit just to make sure I didn't miss any messages. Tuesdays could be big for you. I do remember Tuesdays coming up. This is Tor, the god that rules this rune, is where we get Tuesdays from, Tor's days. And then we also get Tuesday, as this deck has very specific timing in it. So for some reason Tuesdays could be big for you. If you have a more immediate question, some of you are asking a question within a week's time, Tuesday is the answer. Okay, so it says whatever action you are considering, bear in mind the element of surprise. Solutions or blocks can come suddenly. Okay, that's the last thing I was looking for, because with this, like, you have the lightning there, and maybe that's why. Maybe some of you, your life has held too many surprises. Some of you were very, very self-sufficient at a very young age. You literally have not had someone to depend on. Like, you can't, and like you feel like, no, like this, I have to be hard like this. I have to handle things, because if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. No one's going to take care of me besides me, right? And that's why your life, but when you do relax, your life can suddenly change, right? It's like the universe takes over and you're like, whoa, I was just thrown into this tornado of like energy. And yeah, it's kind of fun sometimes, but I don't like that. So your life can have kind of these like two dramatic different energies to it. And that's why, because it talks about how the arrow can be used for hunting, or it can be used against enemies, like offense or defense. And so your energy lock on your life is so stubborn and so in control that when you let that go, like, everything else is up in the air. And some of you, that's why you're afraid of opening your psychic gifts, right? Because you go from being very all right, coming back at you a few days later because it turned out to be a YouTube glitch. I couldn't get that part to upload. Here we are again. So the issue could be issues of control. Maybe that simple things like that spin you out of control, are very frustrating for you if you can't control all dynamics of everything that is going on. And so your psychic gifts really mimic that, where let me close this, there we go, where if you let go, you might feel like you go out of control with your psychic gifts, and that could be the fear. They get too open, and that is generally what happens when we first start breaking into our psychic gifts. They get very, you know, it feels wild and out of control, like this big rainstorm. We see synchronicities all over, you know, you get a lot of spirit communication depending on what your gifts are. And so for some of you, you've been very afraid of that and don't really want to step up to that challenge, right? And so it's easier to just maintain control. But it's kind of like if you have, you know, a tightly corked bottle of champagne or something, but it keeps coming under pressure. Eventually it's going to pop on its own accord, right? With all these other forces going. It's kind of like this volcano. You know that some places that are like glaciers and stuff, there's actually volcanoes underneath all of that ice and snow and, you know, mountain roughness. And I feel like a lot of you probably really relate to that energy. So there's the need to find better ways to use your power in your control. Yes, you are skilled. You can be a very skilled leader. You could get to the point that you could learn how to have self-mastery is what's important here. Instead of externalizing all of that, sense of power and control that you want. So a lot of you, it could be very difficult for others to have communications with you, even just like in passing and like the comments of, you know, Instagram or something, you know what I mean? It can be where you have opinions and you want to cut others to the core, or, you know, it's just very tough for you to deal with having interactions where you will see the other person as your equal, or kind of honor the other person's opinion. It's like you don't necessarily really do that. Now, some of you, this is more, you do it in a very bold way and the other person knows that this is going on. And some of you, it's more a hidden thing where, you know, you might fluff it up and put out like it's all rainbows, but behind the scenes, and to those who really know you, or maybe just to yourself, you really have these very harsh, critical, you know, kind of destroying opinions about others' life and the way they do things and the way they communicate and all of these kind of things. So that is what is being worked on right now. For like, some of you are so far into that logical brain. You might have the outside, you might have like a Pisces rising, Sag rising, something that seems that it's happier and lighter and that you're more open-minded. But when it comes down to it, internally, that's not really what's going on. And some of you have some very deep-seated grudges and and a lot of it comes down to resentment. It comes down to resentment from missing opportunities, or feeling like you've missed out in life, or that others don't have to work as hard as you do, which is an extremely erroneous way of thinking in a lot of ways. Like, yes, there are systemic things out there. Those are good things to direct our energy out at, right? That would be a positive way to reclaim power, is to reclaim it from all of these, like, you know, governments and politicians and stuff like that that are harming people. That's a positive way, right? Reclaiming boundaries within our relationships, making sure that we are respected by ourselves and others, positive ways of doing it. However, just, you know, not being able to see others being happy, always thinking that you're more deserving, you know, being very cynical or jaded, and that coming out, even if you are, like I said, some of you, obviously you're here, some of you are very much on that path of wanting positive vibes, positive life. You know, it's funny because there's rainbow here and I'm looking up and there's a prism in my window and it's a heart. Like, you want to break through that iciness and like let out all of this. You want to be able to hope. You want to be able to just, you know, put on some rosy glasses and get to that point, or get back to that point. And so that is the message for your ancestors, is defrost. So you could think of that when you're in those situations. How can I defrost myself right now? Baby Magic has been singing a song for you guys in the background. Very good singing, baby. So maybe that could be a way. You know, you might not want to count to 10 yourself, but you might, you know, sing a song in your head, start thinking about melting that iciness. Why are you judging? Let that go, and basically just forgive yourself for whatever you haven't accomplished that day that's making you nag or lash out at others, right? So there could definitely be Virgos in this group. I think I already said like Capricorns, there could be Aquarians, there could be Librans in this group. Yes, so there could be some Taurus and Scorpios as well, some Geminis. All right. Let's see. So time to start claiming your opportunities, moving forward, taking on the challenge, knowing that you can handle this pathway that you're on. It's your journey for a reason. No one can steal that from you, right? They can inhibit it, they can throw blocks at it. Like I said, those are the types of powers you want to fight. But you know, whatever's meant for your spirit, if you are willing to meet the universe, to meet your ancestors halfway, can nobody take that from you. Okay, so really keep at it, because like recognizes like, and if you're putting out that good energy, you're gonna start, you know, instead of cutting yourself off from opportunities and making everyone a competitor and doing it alone, and, you know, having this ice block glacier on your shoulder, you're going to find that you have community, that you can, you know, still be your unique self, but blend into this beautiful whole, right? We don't just see red in the sky and be like, oh, look, a rainbow is so pretty. We don't just see indigo up there, even though it's indigo, okay? You know, no, we see all of them together, right? And so that's more what it's about. And for some of you, that's your challenge, is, you know, be a little bit nicer, allow people to have space around you, to have their own roles that they create in your life without you having to cast them into tight little boxes. and you allowing yourself to thrive and be yourself around others, even though for some of you that's very, very difficult and it feels very uncomfortable. You know, it'll feel unnatural at first sometimes, right? But you can get there. So stay heart-centered, defrost the heart, and you'll be on your way. So that is your message, your ancestor message, and I hope that that connected and resonated with you in a way that you can take some good medicine from it. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Welcome to all the new viewers and subscribers. I'll talk to you soon on another one. Yeah, I will. We got one more reading to do. We're going to do number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the butterfly. Okay, for those of you who chose number 5 with the butterfly, message from your ancestors. We have the moon reversed. All decks will be down below. We have the night song, hidden talents reversed, and that's the cardinal. We have Glastonbury. We have the 5 of wands, 5 of bones in this deck. Ancestor of illusion. Ooh, we're definitely dealing with illusions with these cards. Snake, shed old skin. We have the Ace of Wands. We have tsunami, wake up call. We have the Tomahawk 29, which is interesting because the Ace of Wands in this deck, the Orisha Tarot, is Shango's axe. So we have 2 like axe tomahawk kind of things, and then we have Scotty, and she was reversed. So this some of you guys are really going through kind of dark nights of the soul. You might be watching this around the Scorpio moon when I'm releasing it now. Dun dun dun. She's doing her dun 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 voice. So yes, it might feel like that for you. Some of you, you're just tired of kind of having to take a sledgehammer at life. I feel like for a lot of you, going out and just like surviving and feeling like you have to compete is inhibiting a lot of your psychic and spiritual energy. You're not been allowing yourself to just thrive in your own lane. So Scotty, she's like a boss. Like, she goes out, she trains, she does things that would be like considered like a male duties to do, and she like runs it and trains others how to do it. She also had a lot of independence with her husband. She related to the mountains and stuff, and her husband was like a sea god, and so she was like, okay, how about you live there and I live here? Like, she has a lot of independence. But here for you guys, there's a lot of codependency that you guys have been dealing with, and that's been coming up for you, and your ancestors are really talking about that, about needing to, sometimes this friction that you have with people and this bumping of heads and being pushed in different directions. We have that wake-up call with the tsunami, is because they're trying to help you shed those illusions and that like codependency of needing to be too intertwined with others. Now, that doesn't mean that you might not isolate yourself, because a lot of times the people who are the most codependent will isolate themselves the most when they don't know how. They recognize there's an issue, but they don't know how to fix it, right? Okay, for those of you who chose number 5, I've had to redo this a few times. Baby Magic's not wanting to go down for a rest, so here we go again. This might be the 5th time, all right? 5th time. Here are your cards. We have the moon reversed. We have Night Song, which is an oracle card with a cardinal on it. Hashtag ancestors, hidden talents. We have the Ace of Wands reversed, which has Shango's axe on it. We have Tsunami wake up call. We have number 29, which is the tomahawk. We have Scotty, the Viking goddess, who is a total badass, reversed. We have Snake, shed old skin. Ancestor of illusion. 5 of bones, which is the 5 of wands, and we have Glastonbury. All of the cards will be linked, or all of the decks, excuse me, will be linked down below for your viewing and perusing pleasure. Okay, yes, so your energy definitely reminds me of this full moon in Scorpio tomorrow that we are reading nearby. We have the snake can be one of the symbols of of Scorpio energy, one of the higher aspects of Scorpio, or kind of the midpoint. We have the moon card, tsunamis, all of this deep energy here. You know, it's been a stormy, rainy, flash flood warning kind of day, and I can definitely see this energy here in your reading. This is talking a lot, as we see here, with the ancestor card coming through, ancestor of illusion. This is talking about waking up to be your authentic self. A lot of people claim like, oh, I'm being authentic, while painting themselves with this paintbrush of like trending and other cultures and other, like, what their bestie's doing and what their spouse or whoever wants of them, etc., etc., right? And so this is like, nah, your ancestors want to really take you. I mean, it is like this kind of, you know, kind of maybe even seemingly violent trip to the core of your psyche. Like, it's pretty intense. It reminds me of in like Harry Potter when they have to go down to the vaults at Gringotts, and it's like they're on this like precarious little railroad track thing all the way down in, right? Or when they go, what is it? When Gandalf the Grey falls deep into the pit and then becomes Gandalf the White. So it's that kind of depth that's coming up right now for you guys. It's definitely where it feels like you're getting your head broke open, right? Or you're getting that crown chakra shook. This is very much about finally, truly and deeply releasing spiritual and psychic blockages. And it could also be about releasing sexual blockages, because we have the snake here with the Kundalini energy. So for some of you, this is really connected to your sacral chakra. For some of you, it's your root chakra. Some of you, it's even ego, all right? Falsity, not really being your true self. And that's why you have to carry, right, the hatchet. That's why you can't bury the hatchet with anybody, because you have that, you know, that false pride. You know, there's good pride and there's even good ego. There is. Then there's negative, where it's like, no, we don't need that. That's over here, you know, pushing down everyone else's solar plexus. It's making you do crazy things out of not knowing who you are, not having a sense of self, right? So for some of you, it's different lower chakras, and then it's that comparison of that connected to your crown chakra. So it's like, you can't be really woke if your other shit is broke, okay? If your other chakras are messed up and janky and whatever, then you're not done with the journey yet, and that's okay. But you got to be honest, right? Because how can you be the boss like that and use the best of all your gifts and abilities if you can't be honest? And that's like a huge thing right here, right? We're talking about, there's been a few of these ancestor readings that have come through that's like, okay, let's talk about honesty, right? Because we see all these masks, all the different masks that could be worn that can make you, and I feel like it's hard for you because you might be judging your authenticity. Ooh, bing, ding, 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 for whom the bell tolls, all right? So some of you, you're even in spiritual communities and you're judging your authenticity off of people who stole their shit. Like, you're looking at them like, oh yeah, see, I'm still authentic, but they're not authentic. So how can you judge, you know, a yard by a foot ruler, right? It doesn't work that way. And so some of you, that's where the problem that's going. You don't have people who are real with you. You don't have people who will be authentic and call you on your shit and say, no, we need to up our morals. You know, you need people who are truly working to enlightenment, who are truly, you know, not people who are out there smashing stuff just to smash, and not people who are out there, you know, fluffy and ignoring their inner like psychological issues, and like, you know what I mean? So this is about kind of getting on a true path with yourself. And your ancestors really putting a foot down, like, okay, it's really time we talk about this. It says collapse, crisis. I enunciated that in a very saucy way, didn't I? Loss of stable points of reference, difficulty in remembering that one has friends and allies, right? So you can't ever see your real friends. You know what exactly what happens when we are not authentic with ourselves? The people that we push away are the real ones, period. Okay? Put the T on it. That's how it is. right? Because we can, this is the thing, people who are enlightened enough, they realize that we can co-create our reality. This is what happens in a lot of these fake ass new age shops, and I've worked in them. I've worked in all these shops, all these fairs, all this yada yada yada. I've been up in the religions, all of that, right? And what happens is when people realize that they're being exposed and that they're not as quote unquote good as they think that they are, and they can't handle just growing and changing and facing that, what they'll do is they'll run and find other people whose bullshit matches their bullshit in a negative way, and then they'll co-sign that group and make it that that's the reality, right? And that's why you have all these different denominations of religion. That's why you have all these different warring little spiritual centers that can't get along with each other, and all that clickety-clack backstabby stuff is because people don't want to be real with themselves. And so basically it's saying like, so okay, your ancestors like, okay, so you can go and get 7 people who will agree that you're the best whoop-de-whoop, but we're still going to call you on your bullshit. All right. And so that's the kind of ancestors you have, and that's some good ancestors to have, right? Because look at, there's some people in the world that they're just awful people, and you can tell that like that's their heritage and their lineage, and their family has been doing that to the world for eons, right? We don't want those kind of ancestors. We want the ones who are gonna, you know, throw down on us a little bit and be like, hello, wake the hell up, snap snap. And I feel like you literally sometimes have ancestors wake you up, like, come on, let's talk, get up, you need to pray, you need to do some spiritual work, you need to meditate. We need to address these issues, you know. Yeah, so it's rather intense. You guys are completely going through a spiritual, I mean, awakening seems like a lighthearted word to use for this, you know, it does. But it's kind of like a becoming, right? You're having a becoming of yourself. Now, some of you will know different ways that you've been hiding from yourself and that you haven't been your true self. You know, it could be some of you, I am getting, we talked about the sacral chakra. We are, some of you, it's about you know, literally coming out of the closet, right? And being honest about that. Some of you, it's stepping up to kind of that warrior path, right? Warrior hearts, being able to show your actions. You know, sometimes we care really deeply, but we don't do shit about it, right? So some of you, that's the wake up call, is going out. Because Scotty, that's reversed, but she's really awesome. She runs with the wolves. She does things that are typically supposed to be like man kind of things. Like her husband was like the ocean deity, and she was up in the mountains, and they couldn't, like, you know, she didn't like going to the ocean and stuff. So she's like, how about we just live separate? I got things to do, got people to train, I got people to lead, right? So it's like you have that ability to step forward and, you know, be more real in the world, do real work, you know. And it could be, there could be a disconnect lately, and it's because basically it's kind of like that mantle is not going to be passed to you spiritually if internally you can't get everything, you know, addressed that needs to be addressed. Okay, so it's not saying we have to be perfect in order to help the world. It's just saying that we can put out some bad medicine if we're not in that space, right? So whenever you are not in that space, your ancestors are going to crack down pretty tough on you, and it could hit your root chakra, your sacral chakra, things like that. And I feel like also they'll kind of let you get caught up socially. If you really are running from yourself and being messy socially, and like, you know, deep down you know that these aren't good friends, you know that they're letting you get away with bullshit, and that you really need more honest, authentic people around you, and that you're not you know, living like a truly kind of, you know, respectful life that's respectful for other people. You know, you put it out of your mind. Oh yeah, this probably hurts someone, it's not fair trade, but oh well, you know, oh yeah, this is probably appropriating, or oh yeah, I'm kind of gentrifying right now, but oh well, like it's gonna, you know, all that kind of stuff that you shove down, that's what's coming and choking up your life right now. Okay, and so that's why they want to talk about it. So this card also talks about blossoming. Okay, let's put that up there. Blossoming. So let's see some of the things here. Yeah, so this talks about like kind of the energy of like Brigitte and Archangel Michael of Green Man, and like the chalice, like the Holy Grail. It's like all of these kind of energies blending together. finding understanding and wisdom, finding a complete picture of different aspects of self, the spectrum from, you know, divine masculine, divine feminine, and, you know, that's not connected to physical gender, but, you know, there's a whole spectrum of genders spiritually, just like there is biologically. So it's like finding peace, you know, peace, and finding, see how the zodiac's there, like you have a whole spectrum of energies in your life in every way. And if you just sit in one corner of that, even your astrology, some of you might be sitting in one corner of your astrology ignoring your moon sign, and you're just pretending that your whole moon sign doesn't exist, and no, I'm just an Aries, that's it, nope, screw everything else, nope, screw that Cancer moon, whatever, and like you have a whole other chart, right? And some people do that, and some people can really, like, they can make life form to that for a long time, but pretty soon all those other astrological placements and transits, they're going to catch up to you, boo, right? You have to learn that. I had to learn that with the fire in my chart, right? I had to learn to embrace that warrior aspect and learn that that's a part of love. If I just sit here and be sensitive and be perfect and untouched and la 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 la, right, like water and air signs like to do, like, that's not true love. Because how, if you love someone, you don't just sit there and let them get bullied and beat up. If you love someone, you don't let people come out here and hurt children and tear apart families, etc., right? Love has active parts with it. So we have to know all parts of ourselves, even if at first they seem unseemly to us. So some of you guys really can't get down with your emotional self. You hate that. Like, you hate having to be in your feelings. You hate having to, oh, why am I going to sit there and talk to a therapist? I don't want to talk about the past. I don't want to deal with it. You know, the whatever is knee-jerk reaction for you and makes you upset and you don't want to do, that's what your ancestors are saying. Hey, you need to work on that, because you can't be that fully top form person that you want to be if you don't work on all areas of yourself. For those of you who you don't want to deal with anger, you get mad when people have the audacity to speak out against their, you know, oppression or whatever in angry ways. You want everyone to just shut up and be quiet and not rock the boat so it doesn't disturb you, that kind of thing. That's going to be the area you need to work on, right? Is dealing with that own internal anger, dealing with being more active, being more, you know, outspoken, allowing people their space to use their fire energy. So for different of you, it will be different things. It will be different zodiac. All zodiac signs are on here. The ones that you can really see are Libra, Scorpio, Cap, Aquarius, and Pisces. Sag is there too. The only ones I can't see actually too much. Well, I can see all of them, I guess. Yes. So learning to balance. A lot of you are learning to balance fire and water energies too, to be specific. So it's also about a lot of creatives. I see a lot of creatives in this deck, or in this option, number 5, which is great, but you're not using your art to the best ability, or you might be chopping and hacking it away to try to fit other people's molds, right? So you guys have the gift of illusion. You know, your ancestors kind of gave it to you. They know you might have some magicians, sleight of hand, you know, creative people, people who slip between the worlds, the different realms kind of energy, you know, people who could deal with illusion, but they're going to teach you the right ways and wrong ways to do it, right? And that's what I've really learned about Neptune, right? That's why I can get very like there's good illusion and there's bullshit illusion that kind of destroys everything around it. And I think you guys will be learning the difference between those, like when it's good, you know, sometimes it's good to be low-key, right? Lay low-key, be that, you know, bring on some snake energy, be empowered and magical and discerning and knowledgeable. And then there's sometimes there's not the right time to be low-key, and that's where the term snakes in the grass comes from, right? So you guys are going to be coming out of disillusionment, out of illusion, out of, you know, and not being authentic with yourself and true to yourself, and stepping into kind of being who you are at all times, in all situations. Can you imagine how empowering that would feel, to truly be your full self, to be fully aware and in tune with yourself in every situation at all times of the day, no matter where you were dropped. We pick you up and drop you on Mars, boom, there you are, but yourself in a good way, right? Wherever you go, there you are. So it's not externalized pressure anymore. It's about your internal world. And it's time to get up and get it, right? Time to get up and get it and level up. It's not in the future. It's not when you win the lottery. It's not when people finally recognize. It's not any of that. It's not when you become a leader and they give you the prestige that you deserve. is right now. Because if you carry that energy, all those things will come more easily, right? You have to find balance with all these different aspects of yourself, all the different people you've been this lifetime, all the different people you've been all these past lifetimes, and channel it into this one great, powerful, amazing, you know, coming out your cocoon into a butterfly transformation awakening, right? Okay, so here's to your very intense metamorphosis. I hope that there was a lot of good, you know, medicine that you were able to take, however tough, sour, bitter, or salty it seems. We thank all the ancestors that came through in this video and for their patience as there was, you know, technology kind of things going on, all this full moon energy here. But many blessings to you guys. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hello to all the new viewers and subscribers. Thank you for joining the fam, and I will see you guys soon on another one.